So hello everyone, welcome to TechSoup Canada Microsoft Donation Program. How does it work? Today we're going to talk all about Microsoft Donation Program updates. My name is Laurie Smith. I'm the Donations Program Manager and I'll be doing most of the presentation. But we also have Bridget Cannon with us, who's the TechSoup Global Operations Coordinator for the Canadian team. If you've ever contacted customer service or had qualification issues, you've most likely talked to Bridget. So she's going to jump in here and there and give us her expertise. And then assisting with chat is Tierney Smith, our community manager. She manages our Twitter and Facebook and all our social community events. And she's going to help with the logistics. So if you need links or something happens with your sound, she can help you out. She'll be doing stuff in the chat box. Our agenda today, we're going to just quickly talk about who is TechSoup Canada, the Microsoft Donation Program, how does one qualify or become eligible for the Microsoft Donation Program, the new updates, the new pricing structure, and what that means for your organization. We're going to go a bit into title groups and how this will affect your orders. Then we're going to give you some resources and we'll have lots of time for Q&A after. So the presentation itself will only be about 30 minutes and lots of time for questions. A quick poll, because I'd be curious to know, so I'm going to launch this poll. How often have you and your organization request Microsoft products? Oops. Sorry about that. And if you want, you could just take a vote. All right, so far we're about even for all of them. A lot of people have never ordered Microsoft, so that's interesting. Okay, and another quick poll. How familiar were you with the Microsoft Donation Program as it existed before July 27th? Did it launch? Okay, and we've launched it. So this is just to know if we have some experts on hand or... Okay, so a lot of people are very new to the program is what I'm seeing, and some people somewhat familiar. So that means I'll make sure to be very clear when we go over the rules. And I've been asked to move the microphone a little closer. Away. Am I doing the heavy breathing? Sorry if I am. Okay. So who is TechSoup Canada? We are the Canadian partner of TechSoup Global, and we're also a collaborative effort of the Centre for Social Innovation and Information Technology Association of Canada. TechSoup Canada didn't actually officially launch until 2009. Oh, my slides aren't showing. Okay, one sec. Is it because of the poll? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yay, logistics. Okay, so TechSoup Canada, we are the Canadian partner of TechSoup Global and a collaborative effort of Centre for Social Innovation and ITAC. We launched officially in 2009 thanks to a grant by the Ontario Trillium Foundation. And our mission here at TechSoup Canada, we really want to help nonprofits use technology. We really believe it can help you in your mission. And we try to do this by lowering the barrier to technology through access to tools, that's our donations program, but also access to knowledge, training, and talent. So we do hold monthly events if you're in the Toronto area. We do Net Tuesdays. We also help you, figure out your tech solutions and provide lots of great articles and Twitter feeds and so forth. So definitely hop on our online community if you haven't been there. What is the Microsoft Donation Program with TechSoup? It's for registered Canadian nonprofits, so you do have to be registered or registered charity and public libraries. It's also one of our most popular donor programs. I think last year Microsoft donated over $22 million worth of software to the nonprofit sector through our donations program in retail value. So that's pretty impressive. So first thing we're going to talk about is eligibility. How does one become eligible for the Microsoft Donations Program? And this is where I'm going to ask Bridget to jump in because she is our eligibility coordinator and she knows best. So Bridget, if maybe you can start first distinguishing the difference between qualifying with TechSoup Canada and then being eligible for the Microsoft Donations Program.
Hi, everybody. So basically there is a difference between qualification and eligibility. Qualification is the process that you go through when you register your account with us, provide documentation of either your charitable, nonprofit, or library status, and then we're able to review that information and then qualify the organization. Basically just means you've substantiated that you're a charity, a nonprofit, or a library with us. Eligibility is determined differently, and that's basically your eligibility for each of the donor partners that we work with. During the qualification process, we have a restrictions engine on our back end that checks your eligibility for each donor partner. And that's based on a couple different criteria, either whether you're a charity or nonprofit or library is one of those criteria, your activity code that you register with us, and also your organization's budget. Some of the donor partners have, as you probably all know, or will grow to know, there are some differences in eligibility based on the budget, based on the activity code. Eligibility for Microsoft is one of the more open eligibilities at this point. They do have a pretty open program for most of our donor partners. There are a few activity codes that are not, but overall they're pretty widely open.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, more specifically, who does qualify for the Microsoft Donations Program? Bridget. Okay.
So Microsoft donations are available to registered nonprofits, registered charities, and public libraries. There are some types of organizations that are not eligible, such as educational organizations, political organizations, many faith-based organizations, healthcare organizations and networks, and then non-public libraries. More specifically, Microsoft has separate programs for education and healthcare that they run through, like basically through their corporate site. So that's one of the reasons that we're not offering software through our program to those types of organizations. Typically, the political organizations, I think that that speaks for itself with a lot of our donor partners. The donors don't necessarily want to affiliate with one specific political group or party, something like that. That's typically the reason there. For faith-based organizations, there are some stipulations. If an organization is, for example, on the next page here, if your organization is faith-based but has a mission or a program that is secular, you may be able to register with that secular program. Typically, we require organizations to if they choose a secular program when they register, or if they contact us later, we ask that you substantiate your secular programming. You give us some information about it, like a web link if you have a website, pamphlet, something like that. And then we have a questionnaire that we ask that you fill out, verifying that the organization, that the software will be used primarily for non-religious purposes, things like that. If there are any organizations that are on the call today that are faith-based and that have run into issues with that, please definitely email us at customerservice@techsoupcanada.ca, and we can always speak to you directly about that.
So for example, if you're a church that runs a soup kitchen, could you qualify for something like Microsoft, Bridget?
Yes, depending on how you run your soup kitchen. A good example of that would be like a food bank or a soup kitchen with a charity status that's run by a church, but provides food or meals to anyone, to the entire community, regardless of religious beliefs and without proselytizing. That's I believe the greater purpose of the program is to provide software to the largest community possible, And if an organization's limiting their community to folks who are only of the same faith or only have the same beliefs, I think that's seen as being not as open to the community, basically. So the idea is that if someone's partaking of the services, it should be open as possible.
Okay, thanks for that. I know that's a big issue for many organizations. So what about public libraries? What are the special rules if you are a public versus a private library?
Well, at this time, the program is only open to public libraries. Both charity libraries and non-charity libraries are both considered public, and they are eligible for Microsoft. A private library would be an example of something like a library on a military base, or one that's privately run and privately owned by another organization, like a law library. But in terms of public libraries, it's totally fine that the program is open to all of them. There is one stipulation, is that software that's acquired through our program should only be for use on public access computers or computers that are directly used in the management of the public access computers. The idea being that, we don't want to have folks requesting 50 licenses and only using them in the back where they're not able to be used by the larger community.
Okay, thanks. And then Microsoft, with part of these updates, they've actually increased eligibility to these new activity codes. You want to care to talk a little bit about that, Bridget?
Certainly. Well, with the updates that we've gone through in July, Microsoft has basically kind of gone through our list of activity codes. We have over 300 of those, and looked at a few, basically re-examined their position on a few of those, and decided to open up the program to 8. I'm not sure how many are here, but basically they've opened up the program to a few of the activity codes that were restricted before. Among those, hunting and fishing club, swimming or tennis club, other sports club, training and sports, amateur athletic association, the private grant-making foundation, private independent foundation, and private operating foundation, as well as scientific research diseases. Typically, at different times in the year, our donor partners, Microsoft, as well as others, will go through and kind of look at the activity codes and sort of re-examine their position or whether the program is going to be open to those codes at a certain time. So this is definitely a great thing, opening up the codes to 9 new types of organizations is definitely positive.
All right, thanks. And if folks have more questions about eligibility, just keep throwing them in the chat box, and both Bridget and Tierney will try to help you. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the new changes to the Microsoft donation program. Basically, they've made it a heck of a lot easier for you to order what you want and when you need it. A lot of the former restrictions have been removed, so we're going to go through what some of those differences are. So the new Microsoft donation pricing structure. Essentially, how can your organization benefit from the recent program updates? So the first thing we're going to look at is the 2-year donation allotment cycle. So the way it worked before is that a 2-year cycle started when you made your first request. So for example, if your organization made a request on January 1st in 2009, this meant your cycle began January 1st, 2009 and then ended January 1st, 2011. Then your next cycle would begin when you placed your next first order the next time. So this could be a different date. So say you didn't place another order until February 1st, then suddenly February 1st is your new cycle date. So the difference now is that when you place your first request after July 27th, that's when all the changes happened, this is your new 2-year anniversary cycle date from now on. So it doesn't change. So if you place your first request today, August 12th, that is your date from now on and forever. Well, not forever, but a long time. So that's the difference. There's no more changes in the 2-year cycle dates. It just will stay the same from whenever you make that first request. And so just to be clear, that everybody knows, if you have previously requested Microsoft in other years or even before July 27th, everybody's cycle has been reset to 0. So you're starting fresh. Everyone's starting from a clean slate again. So whenever you make that first request, that again is your new 2-year cycle from then on. So number of requests. Previously, organizations could make 2 donation requests within their 2-year cycle. So the way that worked was after a cycle began, the organization needed to wait a full year before making their second request. This was really limiting. So say you made your first request on January 1st, 2009, you would have to wait until January 1st, 2010 to make your next request. So this really made it hard. You had to really figure out what your needs were for the year. Now, there are no limit of times an organization can make a request for. They can, in other words, you can make as many requests as you want within that 2-year cycle, as long as you do not use up your full allotment. So say you need Office 2010 today, you can order that, and then next weekend realize you need another copy. No worries, you can put in that order. You don't have to wait a full year. Servers are another change. Before, organizations could only request 1 server license per server title. CALs, or client access licenses, do not count as a server product. Now, you can order up to 5 server licenses regardless of title group, and we're going to get into what title groups are later. So the difference here is, say before you were a larger organization and you needed 2 Exchange servers or 2 Windows servers to deal with your network. The limit before, you could only request 1 server license. This is no longer the case. You can now request 2 particular server licenses and up to 5 server licenses in total, regardless of the title group. And again, CALs do not count as a server. So again, we'll get into title groups a bit later if you're wondering what that is. Minimum quantities. So previously, if an organization wished to make a request, they had to request a minimum of 5 licenses. It didn't have to be the same product, but it had to be 5 products in general. Now, there is no minimum. So again, if you just need 1 copy of Office, you can just order 1 copy. You don't have to come up with the 5-seat minimum as before. So this makes it a lot more flexible. You can order when you want, there's no set amounts you can order, and you can order more servers. Another point of confusion in the past Microsoft donation program was these definitions that we've had. So we've changed the language in the program. So as I mentioned before, one of the restrictions Microsoft donation program had was a minimum of 5 seats. Well, we used to get people calling in saying, what is a seat? Now there's no more confusion. Seats are licenses. They've always been interchangeable definitions, but now the website will reflect that. Licenses refer to the code that is needed to install the software. So when you get Microsoft Office from us, you get a license to go with that. So now you can see everything is a server license, a CAL license, or an Office license. They are no longer referred to as seats. Titles was another thing. Titles are products, essentially. They used to be called the Microsoft 2010 Office title, and that you could order 50 seats or 50 licenses of that title. Well, now it is the Microsoft 2010 Office product, and you can order up to 50 licenses of that product. So that should make it more clear. Title groups. Title groups are a collection of related products that serve essentially the same purpose. And we're going to get more into that definition right now. Microsoft title groups. What are title groups? So like I said, title groups are a collection of different products, but that serve the same purpose. So generally all versions of the same product are in the same title group. So for instance, if you have Microsoft Office, you'll have, we offer the 2007 version, the 2010 version, a standard, a professional version, French, English, for a Mac platform, a Windows platform. All these products are essentially serving the same purpose. They're Microsoft Office, so they all fall under the same title group. So in the same title group, you're going to find versions and language and processor versions and so forth. Okay, so the difference between the old and the new language. So before we had titles, now we have title groups. So previously, the restrictions for the Microsoft Donations Program said you could request up to 6 titles with up to 50 licenses per title for every 2-year cycle. So Office 2010 was considered a title, and you could get 50 licenses of that. But now one of your titles was used up, so your one of 6 titles was used up. Now there are title groups, and what this allows you to do is you can request products from up to 10 title groups and up to 50 licenses per group. So say, for instance, again, Office 2010 and Office 2007, say you needed both versions, some older computer maybe require an older version, you could get up to 50 licenses within that group. So you've only used up one of your title group, and you have, X amount of licenses left. So say you ordered Office 2010, 2007, you'd have 48 licenses left within that group to order. The differences, again, is before this would have maybe counted as 2 different titles. So ultimately you're getting more. Here's some examples. So we've talked a lot about the Office Suite group. So here you can see what's in the Office Suite title group. And then another example is the Windows desktop operating system. So here you can see there's the enterprise version, the 32-bit, 64-bit, there's the professional upgrade, there's Vista, and then we've just recently added a full operating system. It's part of the Get Genuine program, and I'll talk about that at the end of the webinar. But that's a new addition to our operating systems that Microsoft offers. And if you want, here at the bottom is a link to the full list. I'm going to show you a screenshot of that. So I couldn't capture all of it because there's 68 title groups in total. But here you can see there's Exchange Server title groups, Dynamic CRM title group, then there's Outlook as a title group. So they really do get specific. So there's 68 of them, and you can always view it at that link if you need to clarify. But it's also on the product page, which I'm going to show you in a second. First, why title groups? Some of you might be just confused. Why are they doing this? Well, Microsoft always intended to allow organizations to order 50 licenses of a product, regardless of the version or year or the platform. So the title groups are being implemented to just more accurately adhere to the Microsoft program guidelines. It shouldn't actually affect your organizations too much. The only difference is that it won't allow organizations to overload their access to a particular type of software. So say if you got Office, you could only order 50 of that. This won't really affect most of our members because most organizations are quite small, so it won't be a problem. You can still request all the Office products you need, the CALs, the servers, and operating systems you need within the title groups. So where do you find these title groups? Where do they appear? In fact, they already appear on the website. They started appearing on product pages as of July 27th when all these changes were implemented. So here you can see it on the product information page, listed to the right. under category, donor, partner, platform, and then there you see the title group. So you can see what title group you're purchasing or requesting a donation for. So we're going to put this all together and go through two examples. So example 1, nonprofit A requests 1 license of Microsoft Office on August 1st. So now August 1st becomes nonprofit A's anniversary date from now on. If they've only requested 1 license of Microsoft Office, they still have 49 more licenses they can order from the Office title group. And they have up to 9 other title groups that they can purchase licenses from until August 1st, 2013. So it's a 2-year cycle, 10 title groups, 50 licenses per title group. Example 2, nonprofit B requests 10 licenses from the Office title group, 2 server licenses from the Exchange server title group, and 10 licenses from the Exchange Server Standard Cal group on August 15th. So now nonprofit B can request up to 40 more licenses of Office, 40 more Exchange Cals, and up to 3 more server licenses across all server title groups until August 15th, 2013. So if the nonprofit needed further server licenses of Exchange Server, that would not take up another one of their title group slots. Because what we're looking at right now is that they have 3 title groups. Office title group, Exchange server group, and Exchange server standard Cal group. So they've used 3 of their existing 10 title groups, and they've ordered 3 servers, so they have 2 servers left that they could order of the maximum 5. So say they want to order another Exchange server, and they are requesting a license from a previous marked title group, so the Exchange server group. Then they haven't used up their title groups. They still have 6 title groups left to order, or sorry, 7 title groups to order from. But if they end up ordering a server license from another title group, then they'd have 6 title groups left. I know that's complicated to keep track of. So we've created this great Microsoft Donation Center, which helps you keep track of all your orders. So as you can see in this image, it's not the best image, but it can show you how many of your title groups are left and how many of the 50 license max you have left within those title groups. So that should make it a lot easier. You won't have to keep track of this in some complicated Excel spreadsheet or something. And this donation center, you will find once you're logged in to your account, under My Requests in the right-hand panel, you'll see My Microsoft Donation Center. It's just a square, and it's a link. So that will take you to let's go back to it, this. So you can really start keeping track. And there again is the link. So just under My Requests, there you go. Okay, so we tried to consider how we thought you guys might react to some of these changes and some of the questions that would come up. So let's go through a few things we thought for. So what am I still eligible for? You're still eligible for all the same things. Assuming you've been qualified and Microsoft is a donations program you're eligible for, it's all the same, and in fact, you qualify for more now. For instance, you can order more servers, and you're not limited by a certain number of times you can order per year or anything like that. So it's actually eligibility is increased. What do the updates mean to your donation cycle? Again, your cycle's been reset. So your 2-year cycle is whenever you make your first request after July 27th. So when it resets, and everyone's reset, it doesn't matter if your last order was recent or a long time ago, any remaining amounts you had left, it doesn't matter. Everyone's starting fresh, and whenever you place that first order, that is your new 2-year cycle date. How does the program work? Okay, so let's sum it up. When you place your first request, your 2-year cycle begins. You can make requests as often as you like, as little as you like, as long as you don't go over that basic amount of 10 title groups and 50 licenses and 5 servers. When you place your order, your first request, the cycle begins, and then you can keep making requests as often as you need. And you can order, again, up to 5 server licenses across different title groups. And I think there's about 3 server groups. Sorry, we have a phone ringing in the background. Is my cycle based on the fiscal year? The answer to that is no. Again, your cycle is based on your first request and whenever you do this. So once you initiate this cycle, all subsequent cycles will follow, and this becomes your request anniversary date as long as you keep making requests. Will this affect previous donations and their software assurance? No. All previous donation requests will complete as normal, and all software assurance is still in effect. You can still use your software assurance benefits on a previous request. So for instance, if you've ordered 2010 last January, you can still, if you've ordered Office 2007 last January, you can still use software assurance to upgrade to the new version, and that won't count as a new anything. So software assurance gets pretty complicated. You can read more about it at this link, and it pretty much can answer all your questions that you'd have about software assurance. But the key thing to know is that any previous donations with software assurance are not affected by these changes. Okay, so a few resources. We always like to tell people about Microsoft's open licensing for charity resellers. Essentially, if you cannot find the product that you need through our donations program, this is a good place to look. It's still cheaper than the retail value, and sometimes we don't offer everything. Our program does not have everything. And if you happen to need more than 50 licenses of something, say you have 100 people or a large branch, this is sort of step 2. It's a little bit more, it is more expensive than what we have through TechSoup Canada, but significantly cheaper, so you can still save lots. On our website, we have information about all of this in the Microsoft Donation Program link. And again, I'm going to send you all these links after the webinar, so you'll have them all. And we have the overview of the changes, the allotments, eligibility, all those details. It's all on our website. The title groups link, so that one I showed you before where it sort of lists all the title groups, that's actually a new little thing we've been able to do, so we're really happy about that because we realize it's kind of confusing. I'll send you that link as well. And I briefly mentioned before the Microsoft Get Genuine program. This is for organizations that have illegal or pirated software as an operating system on your computer. Say you got a donated computer with some illegal version on it. Microsoft just launched this program to give people one-time chance to get a real, legitimate, commercialized Windows 7 operating system. The exception with this one is that it's a one-time thing. You can only order it once. It is considered a title group, so you can get up to 50 licenses of it. But once you put in that request for Get Genuine, that's it. You can't put in another request. So that's the one exception to all these other rules. But it's really a program, the heart of it is to help nonprofits who have these illegal versions to just get legitimate operating systems. Or say you have a starter operating system on a new computer, here's a chance to get a new operating system. And for those of you who don't know, we only offered upgrades before, so this is pretty exciting for us to have a full operating system offered. And that's pretty much it. We've got about 20 minutes left for questions. I see lots of questions being answered here, so I'm just going to open this up and see what's remaining. So, okay, so I've been told everything's been mostly answered already, so if you have any new questions, feel free to ask them now and throw them in the chat box, and we can go through them together. Just want to make sure I'm seeing this. So how many licenses are we allowed per 2 years? So again, that's you're allowed to order from up to 10 title groups and 50 licenses per title group. So I guess that would make 500 in total if you were to maximize that. But again, it's limited by title group and then 50 licenses per title group. So you can order from 10 different groups. And then for servers, you're allowed to order 5 servers now. Before it was only 1. So you can do 5 servers regardless of title group. So you can get 2 servers of the same group. The Get Genuine program will count towards the 50 CALs per 2 years. It's not a CAL, it's actually a desktop operating system. So it's a different title group entirely. It's part of the Windows desktop operating system. So if you wanted to order 50 licenses of Get Genuine, which is Windows 7 operating system, you could do that, but then you'd be maxed out for that particular title group. So just to keep that in mind. I'm not sure if software assurance comes with Get Genuine. I'll have to look into that. It doesn't. Okay. How does software assurance work for Microsoft products? Do we need to renew it every 2 years? Good question. I've got some notes on this below. So, okay, so software assurance, for those of you who don't know, it's essentially an added benefit to when you buy software. It doesn't come for free usually. Microsoft has made it part of the donations program. And what it allows you to do is upgrade whichever version you've bought for the next 2 years. So it does have an expiry date of 2 years. It also allows you to install multi-language packages. There's e-learning. You can install it on a home computer and make backups. So there's all these benefits of software insurance. But it does expire after 2 years. And let me just make sure I get it all right. You are still eligible for upgrades after your software assurance is expired. However, you're only eligible for upgrades that happen within the 2 years that you had the software assurance. So if a new version was released, say 2011 Office came out, and your software assurance expired today, and 2011 Office came out tomorrow, you wouldn't be able to upgrade to that. You'd have to buy that new product and get software assurance with it to get the 2011 version. Again, I'll go back to that link.
Can I jump in for a second,
Yeah.
Lori? This is Bridget.
Yeah.
I was going to say for software assurance, kind of piggybacking on what you said there, if say the product, if your software assurance ran out today and the new Office 2011 came out tomorrow, one way you could extend your software assurance, since there's no way of ordering it separately, you can't buy it directly from us or from Microsoft, it's my understanding, but if you bought additional licenses of the same product, like say if you had Office 2007 originally and you bought another license of that and you requested software assurance, you could use your software assurance from that license with all of your license, if that makes sense. Like you can basically apply it to all of the product that you have that's the same kind of product. So you can kind of, it includes everything that you have there.
Okay, good to know. Again, we always recommend maybe even talking directly to Microsoft about it because it does get complicated. Any further questions? Any questions about eligibility? Nicola, I'm seeing about keeping my microphone further away. Oh, here we go. Okay. So, the CAL question. If you need one server license and 30 CALs, one copy of Windows with 50 CALs, and one copy of Office with 50 CALs, I haven't exceeded my 2-year allotment. Okay, so CALs are in their own title group. So you can order up to 50 CALs within a particular title group, and some of them will be in different title groups. So long as, you won't have exceeded your 2-year allotment if these CALs fall within different title groups. If they fall within the same title groups, then you can only order 50 total. So you have to be careful about which title group you're ordering from. Was that, I don't know if Bridget, you want to clarify that at all either?
1 second.
Sorry.
Sure, sorry. Basically looking at this question here, that would be, you have 30 CALs, we have 50 CALs of the Windows Get Genuine, and 50 Office CALs. So that's 3 of your title groups, 3 of the 10, and you're using 1 server of your 5 allotted server licenses, so you're absolutely not exceeding the 2-year allotment there.
Okay.
And then the title group, sorry, Nicola, I just saw your follow-up question. Are they all in separate title groups? Each of these is a separate title group. The server CALs would be 1 title group. Office or Office Suites is 1 title group. And then the Get Genuine is its own title group. So that would be those 3 title groups there.
Thanks, Bridget. Any more questions? Okay. So if we'll wait a couple more minutes in case people have a few questions they're still thinking about. But otherwise, we will be sending out links and resources. And just want to let you know, we do have another webinar next week, a follow-up webinar on this to get your questions answered. So if you do think of more questions, we can always help next week as well. So that one's going to be a bit more focused on you and your questions because we know it's a lot of changes to keep track of. We'll also be covering in a bit more detail the Get Genuine program in that webinar. TechSoup US is doing a webinar on Windows 7. So if you want to learn more about upgrading and things you need to know about Windows 7, this is a great chance to learn for free. And that's it. We encourage you to register when you can. These are all free webinars. We're trying to help you. So do fill out our evaluation survey to let us know if it's been helpful or how we can improve it. Sorry, I'm just seeing another few questions. Will there be a session for Cisco? No, but that's there isn't one yet planned, but now that you've brought it up, we can certainly consider doing that. There is a special application process for it, so we could do a short webinar or even a webcast. We're thinking of starting to put some webcasts up on our website to help clarify some of these trickier orders. All right, so expect to get the links. There's a lot of them. And the recording, again, is available in our Learning Center /webinars. I'm going to post that within the next hour once I get everything done. And you can check there for more webinars. We also have more content-related webinars. Tierney did one last week on website redesign that was very popular, so we do these kind of bigger tech issues outside of our donations program. All right, so thank you everyone for attending. We want to thank again our webinar sponsors, GoToWebinar, it's a great tool, and SlideRocket. And these are both available in the donations program for eligible organizations. That's it. So we will hang on. We do have 10 more minutes officially till this ends, so for those of you who do want to stay on and have more questions, we're here for you. Thank you everyone for your time. Sorry, so we got another question here. Yes, we are using GoToWebinar, not GoToMeeting, although they essentially serve a similar purpose. GoToMeeting, we've tended to use it more internally for trainings and so forth, but you can still show your screen, share your screen. GoToWebinar allows you to invite up to 1,000 different people to watch a webinar. So I think it allows for more access. Tierney, I think, has looked more into the tool, so I don't know if Tierney wants to add more details about the difference between GoToWebinar and GoToMeeting, but they are quite similar. I think GoToWebinar is a little more expensive. It's a little more robust. Allows you to schedule webinars for professional purposes. Aha, there you go. Yes, GoToMeeting is for only 15 people. GoToWebinar allows 1,000, so there's the difference. So again, just to remind you, there is going to be a follow-up webinar next Friday to get more specific questions answered. So if you can't think of any questions right now, you can register for that webinar on our website and submit your questions in the registration box. So if you have more questions about title groups or Get Genuine, or you try to make an order and you come up against another issue, feel free to write us. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope this helped clarify the new updates for you, and we'll see you maybe next week.